We all have heard stories people share about why relationships fail. They say it's because the love wasn't strong enough, or maybe they just weren't compatible. But as a therapist, I know that's not the whole truth. Because sometimes you do love them. Sometimes you are deeply compatible, and yet the connection still starts to fray. It doesn't happen in a dramatic explosion. It happens slowly, quietly. You're chasing deadlines, handling responsibilities, and running from one thing to the next. Life feels like a never-ending tug of war. And then, when it's time to show up for your partner, when it's time to sit down and connect, it feels like one more box you need to check. That's the paradox. The person you love the most starts to feel like another item on your to-do list. And if you've ever been there, you know how heavy that feels. But here's the question. What if it didn't have to be that way? What if intimacy didn't always require long, drawn-out conversations or orchestrated date nights? What if connection could live in the smallest, quietest corners of your life and feel effortless? Because it can. And the answer lies in something that almost no one talks about. I'm Jourdan Travers, a licensed psychotherapist, and today I want to talk about why parallel play is the ultimate couple skill, and how working on it can help spark love and romance in the most tired of relationships. Let me take you back. Think about kids on a playground. One is stacking blocks and another is scribbling with crayons. They're sitting side by side, not talking much, not building something together, and yet they're calm. They're connected and they feel safe simply being next to each other. That's parallel play. And while psychologists first use the term to describe children, the same principle holds something special for adults. Imagine this. You're on the couch, deep into a book, and they're across the room sketching or scrolling or working on their laptop. No pressure to entertain, no guilt for needing your own space, just presence and just comfort. It's intimacy without performance, closeness without demand. And here's the thing. You already know what this feels like. Maybe you've had a night where you're both doing your own thing, no words exchanged, and yet it feels warm, like home. That's not accidental. That's connection being quietly built beneath the surface. There's even a scene in The Big Bang Theory where Leonard teases Sheldon and Amy about this. He jokes about how they can just sit in the same room for hours, Sheldon tapping away on his laptop while Amy knits. It's play for laughs, but what you're actually watching is a perfect example of parallel play. Intimacy doesn't always need fireworks. Sometimes it's just knowing that someone's presence is steady beside you. Now, let's get real about why this works, because it's not just sentimental, it's psychological. And while we're at it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to our channel for more science-backed solutions to relationship problems. The first, resting in each other's presence. Life wears you down. There are days when you come home completely depleted. And on those days, even the relationship, the thing that's supposed to feel like refuge, can start to feel like pressure. Am I giving enough? Do they feel neglected? Am I failing them? You love them, but you're tired. And when love gets tangled with guilt and obligation, it loses its softness. Parallel play gives you a way out. It says you don't have to choose between being with your partner or being with yourself. You can actually do both. Picture this. You're journaling in your corner, your partner's watching a show. You're cooking and they're answering emails at the kitchen counter. You're not in separate worlds. You're sharing space without pressure and without demand. And this isn't just theory. A 2024 study explored silence in relationships. The researchers wanted to know, does silence pull people apart or can it bring them closer? And here's what they found. When silence comes from guilt, pressure, or fear, it creates distance. But when silence is chosen, when it's born out of comfort, it actually deepens intimacy. Partners feel more connected and more at ease. Think about that. The same silence that can feel like rejection in one context becomes healing in another. So the next time you sit beside your partner, both of you lost in your own worlds, remember, that's not distance, that's rest. And rest is what allows you to show up for each other with real affection again and again. Second, protecting individual growth. Parallel play doesn't just give you rest, it gives you freedom. Because here's the truth, in long-term relationships, it's dangerously easy to lose yourself. You let your guitar gather dust, you stop painting, you abandon the things that once made you feel most alive. And slowly, your entire sense of self collapses into the relationship. At first, it feels romantic, but over time, it becomes suffocating. Researchers call this Relationship-Contingent Self-Esteem, otherwise known as RCSE. A series of studies found that when your self-worth depends completely on how your relationship is going, you become emotionally unstable. You soar when things feel good, and you crash when there's tension. That instability breeds anxiety. It breeds enmeshment, and eventually you forget where you end and your partner begins. Parallel play is the quiet antidote. It lets you chase your own growth inside the relationship instead of outside of it. You get to hold onto your passions, your independence, your individuality without pulling away. You write, they draw. You read, they play guitar. Each of you feels your own well, and then you come back to each other not drained, but alive. And when two people who are fully alive meet in the same space, that's when a relationship feels electric again. Parallel play is more than just a practice. It's a mindset shift. Most relationships don't collapse overnight. They drift, slowly and subtly. You stop noticing the warmth. Shared time starts to feel routine, and external pressures take over. And before you know it, you're living side by side, but not truly with each other. So how do you stop that drift? You choose to prioritize the relationship, not by grand sacrifices, and not by giving until you're empty, but by finding balance. Parallel play helps you do exactly that. It threads intimacy into the ordinary moments. It makes space for individuality and togetherness, and it allows love to live not only in the grand gestures, but in the quiet ones. The coffee you drink side by side in silence. The evenings where you're each lost in your own world, but the presence is steady. The simple reminder that I don't have to perform to belong. And when you hold on to that, when you make room for both connection and freedom, your relationship doesn't just survive the chaos of life, it thrives in the middle of it. I'm Jourdantravers. I'm the clinical director at Awake Therapy, and I'll see you next time.